Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. UK Privy Council to deliver judgment in the murder appeal for dancehall entertainer Vybz Kartel and his 3 co-convicts next week. Portmore councillor adamant that the municipality is still not ready for parish status. And later in sports, Cavalier and Arnett Garden played a 2-2 draw in rescheduled JPL match Thursday night. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shane Masters and here are the details. The judgment in the murder appeal for dancehall entertainer Vybz Kartel and his 3 co-convicts will be delivered next week, Thursday, by the UK Privy Council. This was announced on the UK Privy Council website. It says the verdict will be handed down at 11 a.m. Jamaica time and will be live streamed. This follows the appeal hearing, which was held over 2 days from February 14. The entertainer, whose real name is Adidja Palmer, entertainer Sean Campbell, also known as Sean Storm, Kahira Jones, and Andre St. John, otherwise called Madsus, were convicted on March 13, 2014 for the murder of Clive Lizard Williams. The family of 15-year-old Shanika Gray, the Green Pond High School student who was killed on January 29, 2017, is up in arms with the judicial system for the slow delivery of justice. They told TVJ News that despite the jury finding Gregory Roberts, the taxi operator who was arrested and charged with her murder, guilty on January 24 this year, he is yet to be sentenced. Speaking with our news team on Thursday, the aunt of the deceased says the guilty verdict was given in January. Now, she further noted that when the matter was called up in the Trelawney Circuit Court yesterday, there was a further pushback to April 4. This as Mr. Roberts' attorney did not provide written statements which are needed for the matter to proceed. But the aunt says while those issues are to be worked out, the family is living in fear.
It's not easy. It's like you're playing with my emotion while he gets lenience to do whatever he wants to do. I am concerned about my safety and my family as well. Every time you get to the point where you think you're going to wrap up or finish, you have to brace yourself each time to come and face this guy in the court. And then for them to tell you, your breakdown, anxiety is not something good enough. You bring me up today and then you bring me down, and then I have to be, when I go home, you have to be prepping yourself to get up each morning. So when you do things like that, it sends you back into a slumber.
Now, Gray was abducted after she took a robot taxi. She was last seen alive after leaving the funeral of a former Green Pond High student in Lottery St. James on Sunday, January 29, 2017. She was found dead on February 1, 3 days later, in bushes in Irwin, St. James. The body had multiple stab wounds to the chest. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie says he has taken note of the state of cemeteries across the country. He was speaking at the swearing-in ceremony for the Trelawney Municipal Corporation on Thursday.
The first in a drawdown of some $200 million will be made available as soon as the new administration settles down for the cleaning of public cemeteries right across the country.
Meanwhile, the minister outlined his ministry's plans to fix broken streetlights.
And I intend next week to invite the JPS again to sit with us, to look at the challenges that they face. Because we can no longer say to the Jamaican people that we've been talking. The time has come for the JPS to respond in a positive way as it relates to streetlights across the country.
Amidst continued campaign promises to make Portmore Jamaica's 15th parish, a councillor in the municipality is again insisting certain basic amenities must first be in place. We caught up with Councillor for the Waterford Division, Fendi Douglas, at Thursday's swearing-in ceremony at the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation. Now, he insists that property taxes and building fees are not enough to run the municipality and that more jobs are needed to keep residents from seeking opportunities outside of Portmore.
It can't be that you want us to become a parish, but we don't have a hospital, a local board of health, an examination depot. We don't have a market. And I have made the recommendation years back too that Portmore is uniquely situated in a section of Jamaica whereby we can woo large companies, large industries to come along our coastline to do business, set up factories, employ our people, because call centers cannot be the answers to our economic problems.
Meanwhile, the lone female in the St. James Municipal Corporation, Donia Thompson, says she is not daunted.
My expectation is that they will work with me and I will work with them.
And Michael Troop is a minority leader in that corporation. The JLP won the St. James Municipal Corporation 11 to the PNP 6.
My expectation of him, as a young mayor, is that he must first listen to both sides, because every division have a different concern, different issues, and most divisions have issues with garbage, street lights, and bad parochial roads.
Now, Councillor Richard Vernon was sworn in as Mayor of Montego Bay. He is the youngest person to serve in that capacity. Several mayors and councillors were sworn in across the island yesterday. Kerry Simpson has that roundup.
It's the only municipality where all the councillors are members of the People's National Party (PNP). But the newly installed mayor of the Hanover Municipal Corporation is promising it will not be to the detriment of the local authority.
As the chairman of the corporation, I will ensure that I follow the guidelines and ensure that the other councillors stay in line.
Gained an additional division from what it had in the 2016 polls, the PNP's majority remains. Danray Delancey replaced Bertil Moore as the new mayor of Savlamar.
I look forward to working with the various agencies, staff here at the WMC, our councillors, and all well-thinking residents of our beloved parish to make Savlamar, and by extension, Westmoreland, a better place.
And in St. Elizabeth, Joseph Solomon became the first mayor to come out of the Newmarket division.
One of my primary focus now is to look at the efficiency of operation at the municipal corporation.
Over in Trelawney, Colin Gager returned for a third time as mayor.
In my administration, there will always be a place for those who have felt left out. And I will also welcome those who have held civic or political office to join us in building a better future.
In St. Thomas, Louis Shane is the new mayor of Morant Bay. The JLP won that municipal corporation by 2 seats.
I promise to listen to your concern, to meet your needs, and to put the people of this parish first.
And in Portland, the Jamaica Labour Party's Paul Thompson returned as mayor of Portland, with the JLP winning 7 divisions to the PNP's 2. Kerry and Simpson, TVJ News.
And it's time for a break here on the Midday News, but stay with us, more stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. There is an increasing appeal for donations so construction can finally begin to expand the burn care unit at the University Hospital of the West Indies in St. Andrew. Oil Refinery Petrojam is spearheading the construction project, which aims to build a 2-story specialized burn care center starting at the UHII and eventually extending to other major hospitals across the island. The project is budgeted to cost $260 million and is expected to save time and money to airlift severe burn patients overseas for medical care. Consultant plastic surgeon at the UHII, Dr. Rajiv Venugopal, says rehabilitation will be a key component of the secondary phase of the expansion.
Taking care of the scars which may form, and the upstairs segment of that building will be focused on managing those burn scars in the long term with possibly laser and radiation therapy. So that's kind of the phase 2 of this project, but the immediate attention is getting that isolated area for the burn patients. We're still trying to work with 3, and that's a significant problem, because that highlights that it doesn't mean that we only get 3 patients.
Despite the rise in interest rates, the finance minister has indicated that Jamaica's debt stock is not expected to significantly increase. This, as higher than projected inflation, is expected to affect interest rates. Dr. Nigel Clark was responding to questions from opposition spokesman on finance, Julian Robinson, about the effects of inflation on interest rates.
80% of our domestic debt is fixed. And that's a very good thing for the government in that the sensitivity to the policy rate is reduced. Now, just that 20% variation, obviously can result in upward movements, but those are unlikely to be significant enough to pose a problem, to pose a challenge. We had movements in interest costs in this fiscal year, which we've been able to accommodate and deal with.
Dr. Clark also gave an update on Jamaica's external debt.
We do have one or two floating rate debt that are mostly multilateral based, where it's linked to a floating rate, and those would experience an upward tick, but an upward tick from a small base because the multilateral base amount is small. But they have a variable component that can vary with interest rates. But I wouldn't, the interest sensitivity there at this point is not something to be, unduly concerned about.
And it's now time for the Business Minute. Scotia Group Jamaica says it realized an increase in its loan book during the first quarter of its current fiscal year. For the 3-month period ended January, the financial institution says its loan portfolio increased by 40.8 billion Jamaican dollars, or 17.4% compared with January 2023. Loans minus allowances for credit losses increased to $275.7 billion. Scotia Group says its core loan book continues to perform well, with mortgages increasing year over year by 24%. Consumer loans went up by 12%, while there was a 12% increase in funds deployed through credit cards. Commercial loans increased by 17%. Further afield, mortgage rates in the U.S. ticked down slightly this week. It's a tiny benefit to buyers eager to make a move, with newly listed homes coming to market. Freddie Mac reports the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage averaged 6.88% in the week ending Thursday. That's down slightly from the week before. The decline breaks a 4-week streak of rising rates, which had done little to chill the home buyer market. And that's it for the Business Minute. Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, operations at Haiti's main port have been suspended due to vandalism and sabotage as the capital city descends further into violence and chaos. Local media report that armed men broke into the port in the capital Port-au-Prince, looting containers. It follows attacks by gangs on the airport, police stations and prisons this week. The gangs are pushing for Haitian Prime Minister Ariel Henry's removal. A 3-day state of emergency has been extended by a month. On the international scene, more than 280 Nigerian school students have been abducted in the northwestern town of Kuriga. The children ages 8 to 15 were in the assembly ground when dozens of gunmen on motorcycles rode through the school. They were abducted along with a teacher. In recent years, the kidnapped gangs have seized hundreds of people, especially in the northwest. However, there had been a reduction in the mass abduction of children over the past year until this week. And U.S. President Joe Biden has announced that the U.S. military will construct a port in Gaza to get more humanitarian aid into the territory by sea. The temporary port will increase the amount of humanitarian assistance to Palestinians by hundreds of additional truckloads per day, officials say. However, Mr. Biden says the initiative will not include U.S. troops on the ground in Gaza. The UN warns that a quarter of the population is on the brink of famine. Nakinsky Robinson, TVJ News.
And we head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report with Jermaine Brown.